All right, all right, all right. Shalom, shalom to the brothers and sisters online. Shalom, shalom to the brothers abroad, the sisters, the family, the Israelites that have been scattered. I want to start by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, who gave us His Son, the Messiah, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. So all praises for that. My name is Brother Paras. This is my reader.
Brother Ahijah.
And tonight we will be going over the topic of fornication and the battle between light and dark. Uh, let's dive right in. Let's dive right in. Brother, if you could, we're going to start with the book of Leviticus 18. And if you could, please, once you get there, go ahead and throw that definition up on the screen. Right? Because fornication is a word that is thrown around mighty loosely. And we just want to make sure that we understand what fornication goes into before we jump in. Also, this is a very heavy sin in Israel. Fornication. It's a problem that we have as a people, and so we definitely want to touch on it so brothers and sisters know exactly what it is. All right, here we go. Fornication, right? Now it is defined uh more commonly as voluntary sexual intercourse engaged in by a man, an unmarried man with an unmarried woman. It can also be defined as voluntary sexual intercourse engaged in by an unmarried person if the other person is married. The act of the unmarried person is sometimes considered adultery, right? Adultery is a form of fornication. Now, what we want is down there at the bottom that's highlighted, right? The biblical definition, because a lot of times what we will see through study and reading is that many things in the Bible, although the word is the same, its definition is slightly different. And it's not quite what it means in today's word or when it's colloquially spoken. So biblically, right, the primary definition is any unlawful sexual intercourse, including adultery, right? Like I said, adultery is a form of fornication. Okay. So any unlawful, meaning according to the law, it is not correct, right? An unlawful sexual act. That's what fornication means. Now, the B of that, you don't have to put it back up, but the B definition up there said idol worship or idolatry, right? And we're going to get into that in just a moment. First, we're going to cover that first definition. So, my brother, if you could start in the book of Leviticus, chapter 18. Let's just go ahead and start at the top.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 18 and verse 1.
Come on.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doing of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
So he's laying out right now. Listen, you were just in Egypt, talking to the children of Israel. You were just in Egypt, and I'm bringing you into the land of the Canaanites. You are not to do after either one of their ordinances, either one of their customs, either one of their ways of life. You're not going to do that. What are we going to do? Read on.
Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God.
Come on.
Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord.
So now he tells you, you're not going to do what they have set up. You're going to do what I tell you to do. And so during this time, this is when Moses is getting the law direct from the Most High God. He's talking to him and telling him, hey, speak to the children of Israel and tell them this. This is what I want. This is how we're going to do. So he's saying, my ordinances and my commandments, you're going to stick to those. What you're not going to do is anything that these other nations say, anything that they tell you to do, anything that they try to influence you to do. right? So he's making a distinction here between his ways and the ways of other nations, right? And this chapter in particular is going into fornication or unlawful sexual deeds. Let's proceed. Go ahead, brother.
Now of you shall approach to any of, none of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to them, to him, to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord.
Okay, so the first thing is you're not to uncover the nakedness of any of your near kin. Now, this is deeper than just, well, you're not to just, come and strip somebody naked. Because we know that as fathers and as mothers, right, you bathe your children. Those are your near kin, but you see them naked. That's not what this is talking about, right? This is talking about for a specific deviant purpose. If you're uncovering someone's nakedness to look at them and get something out of it in that way, that's what this is going into, right? It's not talking about if you have an elderly mother or father who's invalid, they can't really do anything, they're paraplegic, they can't do certain things on their own, you may have to bathe them. Is that uncovering their nakedness? Not at all, right? So as far as the circumstances and the phraseology, we're just learning that uncovering nakedness has a very specific connotation, and we're going to see that later on in the chapter. Keep reading, brother.
Verse 7. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shall shall thou not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
Come on.
The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister is the daughter of thy father or daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness shalt thou not uncover.
Uh-huh.
The nakedness of thy son's daughter or thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness shall thou not uncover. For there is their own nakedness.
Right.
The
So
nakedness of thy oh, go ahead.
no, you got it. You got it. That's good. So it covers a few things first, right? Your father's nakedness, your mother or your father's wife is counted as his nakedness. All right. That's his nakedness. You're not supposed to uncover that. So that's just more valid proof that this isn't just talking about seeing something visually, right? There's a purpose behind this. Your mother is your father's nakedness, and then says that your children and your children's children, right? They fall under your nakedness, right? So we're getting to something here. Start formulating the idea of what this means to uncover the nakedness. Read on.
Verse 11. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
So this is either your actual sister or your half sister who is of your father. That's your sister. Don't uncover her nakedness. Come on.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman.
Okay. Come on.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman.
Come on.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thine aunt.
So it's telling you the correlation of these near kinswomen, your father's sister, your mother's sister, your father's brother, your mother's brother. These are your near kinsmen, and you're not to uncover their nakedness, and even their husbands or wives, those are your aunts or uncles. So you're not to uncover their nakedness, right? So I think we've made the point of these things. So this is just a list. What this chapter is, it's a list of things that are considered deviant sexually, right? So that it's close family sexual relationships. That's not something that you're supposed to do according to the laws of God. That would be considered sexually deviant to do so, right? Uh let's go to jump down to 17.
Verse 17. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover the nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness.
So if you choose a woman to be with and you uncover her nakedness and her daughters and her son's daughter, and you're uncovering the nakedness of near kin, which again, the same way that you wouldn't do it with your own, you're not to do it with someone else's near kin's people as well, right? That is wickedness according to the scriptures. Come on.
Verse 18. Neither neither shall take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness, beside the other in her lifetime.
So this one is very critical to understand how it's written. You're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of a woman and her sister, right? Which we just covered that's not supposed to be done regardless, but this is saying something different, to vex her, to uncover her nakedness beside the other. So if you were a man that had two wives, you couldn't have them together in the same bed. That's vexing to them, and that's not to be done. What people call today an orgy, when you have multiple partners in the same room, this is unlawful according to the scriptures of God, right? That's something you're never supposed to do. So you're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of a woman and her sister. You're not supposed to have wife next to wife while you're having those things. This is a private matter between one or the other, right? Continue reading, brother.
Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her. Verse
You're at 19. You got
okay,
it right.
verse 19.
Yes, sir.
Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is apart from her
So
uncleanness.
now we're
Go ahead
starting
and
to
read
get a
this.
little more clear what it means to approach to when it uses it in this way, or uncover their nakedness, because it's talking about during the time of her uncleanness, right? This is talking about a woman's menstrual cycle. You're not supposed to lay with a woman, right, carnally, if she's having her menstrual cycle. So that's what it means to uncover the nakedness. You're not supposed to sleep with your aunt. You're not supposed to sleep with your son's daughter. You're not supposed to sleep with your wife's daughter. Those kind of things. You're not supposed to sleep with them, and it's going to explain it as we move forward. Continue reading, brother.
Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her.
So again, moreover, in addition to, so we're talking the same context of uncovering nakedness or approaching to, it says, thou shalt not lie carnally. This is what we're getting into. You shall not lie carnally or sleep with, have sex with, have intercourse with your neighbor's wife, right? To defile yourself with her. So this defiles you, right? Read on.
Verse 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire of Molech, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord.
So this is going into child sacrifice because again, the result of laying with somebody is a child. You're not supposed to allow your children to be sacrificed because that's what they did to Molech, right? Now this is the hitter. This is what we want. Read on.
Verse 22. Thou shalt not lay with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
So the Lord is basically telling you in this chapter things, people that you shouldn't lie with, right? We've already talked about family. We've talked about your wife's family or your significant other's family. You're not supposed to lay carnally with them. You're not supposed to have sisters next to each other when you lay with them. You're not supposed to lay with your neighbor's wife, right? That's adultery, as we covered in the definition before. You're not supposed to lay with a man, right? As you lay with a woman if you're a man. This is unlawful to do so. It's an abomination. Read on.
Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion.
It is confusion. These things are confusion. Why? Because you're not the same kind as an animal. There's no reason for you to lay with an animal. There's no reason for you to allow an animal to lay with you. that's confusion. You simply don't understand what what reproduction and things are for. You don't understand your function. If that's the case, that's confusion. Finish up.
Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
So again, going back to the point of the very first verses where it said that, listen, these other nations, they do these things. This is not something you're supposed to participate in. I forbid you to do it. In fact, you're going to live by the laws that I state for you to do. Right. So he's letting you know, don't follow in this way. Don't defile yourself through fornication. Right. So that's well understood. Fornication is to deviate in sexual activity. Right. Now, we understand that the consummation of a marriage is the sex. Right. You draw up your papers, you make your agreement, and then you consummate by laying with the woman that you have made this agreement with. That's how we consummate a marriage. Uh, I want to take a journey, right? The Most High is married to Israel. Let's get that in Isaiah 54 and 5, I think it is, sir.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 54, and verse 5.
Uh-huh.
For thy maker is thine husband.
Uh-huh.
The Lord of hosts is his name. And thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. The God of the whole earth shall he be called.
So the Lord our God, right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is our husband. This is very important phraseology to understand because we just went through what physically, or what most will say carnally, what fornication is. Yes, it is the sexual deviancy with your physical body, right? But that's not the only definition, as we saw. Idolatry can be considered fornication, right? Now, if the Most High is married to us, that means that we cannot commit fornication or idolatry against him, right? And we're going to get into what that entails because this is a very important thing to understand. There's a lot of ways that we fornicate and we don't even know it, right? Um, if I could get me 1 Corinthians 11 and 7, because like I said, he's trying to show a correlation. He gave marriage, right, as a way to explain or to help you understand why we shouldn't do these things physically, right? There's a spiritual understanding to it.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, and verse 7.
Come on.
For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image of glory, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man.
So this is important to understand, right? The woman, the wife, is the glory of the man in the same way that we, right, Israel, it just said we're married to him. He's our husband. So if he's the husband, that makes us what, Haj?
The wife.
The wife, right? So he's showing you a parallel. God is the husband, we are the wife. So now parallel that to what we call marriage, what he gave us in an ordinance. We as the husbands, we know we have a wife.
And
Right?
based off the scriptures we read in Leviticus, there is no man on man.
Correct. You can't have man on man. It's man and wife. So the Most High has his wife, which is us, and we, right? We have a job to do. We have to maintain a certain way in order to be his wife, right?
Everyone has their roles to keep. If you're not
Correct.
keeping your role, then you're out of order. Just like God will
Absolutely.
sit up here and say, hey, my role is this. Christ, if you don't do this, you're out of order. Christ is going to say, my role is this. Man, if you don't do this, you're out of order, which gives man the authorization to tell his wife what, P?
It trickles down. You're out of order. He has to tell her that because it comes from, again, the highest. He's gonna tell the son. The son's gonna tell man. The man has to tell his woman. Absolutely. If you could, sir, jump with me to Second Ezra chapter 3, and I want you to start at verse 4. We're going to read down. right? Because God being married to us, it happened at one point. Not only did he marry us, but he also gave us the institution of marriage, and we're going to explore that.
You said Second Ezra 3 and 4.
Yes, sir.
The book of Second Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 3 and verse 4.
Come on.
O Lord, who bears rule, thou speakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thou and excuse me, and that thyself alone and commandedest the people,
Read.
and givest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee,
Come on.
and thou leadest him into the promise,
Into
or
paradise.
excuse me, into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward.
Uh-huh.
And unto him thou givest commandments to love thy way, which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointedest death in him and in his generations, of whom cometh nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number.
Finish up.
And every people and every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments.
Okay, so we see here in this little snippet, he gave us a covenant. He married Israel, not necessarily Israel, but he married Adam. He married uh this Adam that he gave the breath of life to. He married him. He gave him a covenant. He gave him commandments to keep. And it says that he transgressed them. So not only do we see a marriage, we also see the first adultery. All right, let's go explore that if I could, brother. Let's jump to Genesis 1 and 27 and 28. Because Adam, right, his story is that not only was he given a covenant and that he was created and given all creation to subdue and to be ruler over, but he also transgressed and ended up being put out. Go ahead and read that when you have it.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 27.
Uh-huh.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
Excellent. Excellent. So we see here, right? Again, he gave them a covenant. And then he gave them this law to be fruitful and multiply, right? We know that being fruitful, what does that entail, Elijah? How do humans be fruitful and multiply?
Sexual intercourse.
Sexual intercourse. So in order to do that though, right, that would entail that you are married, yes?
Marriage is required.
All praises. So marriage is given at this point in the beginning, be fruitful and multiply, right? So he gave his connection with Adam and then also told man and his woman, be fruitful and multiply. Let's look at the details of that. Go to chapter 2, start at verse 18. We're going to read down.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And out of the ground, and out of the ground the Lord formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called them, every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him.
So what did the
And the
Lord
Lord
do?
God, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took out one of his ribs and closed the flesh instead thereof. And the rib and the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So all right, stop right there. Actually, no, read 24.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
So marriage, the institution of marriage is man and woman come together. They leave the house of their father and mother who raised them together and they cleave one to another, right? Meaning they're no longer under the tutelage of father and mother. They now are given this opportunity to go and live their lives together, right? She can't go back to her father and ask for advice because she's now the wife of this man, right? He can't go and seek counsel from his mother. He has to speak to his woman and counsel with her, right? They are one flesh. They are no more twain, they are one. So they're now bound to each other, right? In the same way, well, we'll see in a minute. Let me we'll get to it. Um so where was I? I'm sorry. Where was that out of? Okay, that's Genesis. So now that we've seen the marriage, we're going to see where they went wrong, right? Let's see where the fornication is at. Jump over to chapter 3 and start at verse 6.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 6.
Come on.
You
Come
said,
on. Yeah, come on. I'm sorry, my
okay.
fault. I said it kind of low. My bad.
The book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Read on.
Okay, read. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
Come on.
And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I hear thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself.
Finish up.
And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I command thee that thou shouldest not eat?
Okay, so we have a situation going on here, right? Let's start from the beginning of verse 6 where we started at. The
Verse
wo-
6.
no, no, I'm not saying to read. I'm sorry. I'm not saying to read it, but let's go back there and just break it down now, right? The woman made a decision outside of the counsel of her husband, right? She decided that this tree was good for food and to make one wise. So we know it's not talking about literal food because you can't eat food and like it doesn't necessarily make you smart or wise. So she's buying into doctrine outside of what her husband instructed her because her husband was given commandment not to eat of this tree and he taught her the same thing, right? And so when we get to this point, she made a move to operate outside of that instruction. So she's already going against the order. Not only that, she offered it to her husband, and because of that, he folded. Now he's doing things outside of the instruction that he got from the Most High God. So now that order that we had earlier, it's flowing backwards, right? There's something messed up. The woman made the decision, and the man made the decision outside of what God made. So the source of all wisdom and knowledge is not being listened to. right? Now, as we go down, we see that the eyes of them were opened and they knew that they were naked, right? This is not talking about literal nakedness, and we're going to show that as well. Matter of fact, if you could, sir, let's go to Isaiah 33 and 4, right? Because it says, let's start off with the fact that Adam was afraid, right? Isaiah 33 and 4. I'm sorry, 14, 33 and 14.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 14.
Come on.
The sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness had surprised the hypocrites. Oh, sorry. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burning?
So this is a parallel verse. It's speaking about Adam was fearful because he sinned, right? It says the hypocrites were surprised, right? So Adam was supposed to be the man that knew everything. He was given that breath of life by the Most High God. He knew wisdom and knowledge, but he's a hypocrite now. Why? Because he went against those things. So that terrified him. Once he messed up, he had to hide, right? Because he figured that he was naked, right? And now, again, we know that this isn't talking about actual nakedness, and there's many places we can go. If you could, brother, give me Exodus, I believe it's Exodus 20, or I'm sorry, 32 and 25.
The book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 25.
Huh?
And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies.
So it's not talking about when Moses came down, Aaron stripped everybody of their clothes. They were made naked. They were ashamed, right, in front of their enemies. They were made a reproach because they had broken a commandment. They just gotten led out of bondage and went right back into idolatry. So that was something that's a reproach, right? That made them look foolish. This is what it's going into. After giving instruction, if you fail to follow it, you look foolish, right? Keep that in mind. Because this is what that means. This is what it means to be made naked. Uh,
It's it's
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
similar to it's similar to you doing something, or and everybody knows what you did, and now you have to walk back into the classroom and everyone knows
Walk of
what you
shame.
just did. That feeling you get, that's the nakedness they're talking about. Just to give
Correct.
people an example of what that could mean, it's that feeling that you get when you know that, like you said, that walk of shame. That's the nakedness Adam was feeling. Go
Right.
ahead.
And no, you're right. That's right here. Adam was ashamed because he knew better. And he's hiding. Think about this. He's hiding among the nations. So these are other people that already knew, like, well, Adam knew to do well, and he was supposed to keep the commandments, but he messed up. The other nations never kept the commandments. The what we read in Ezra said that they immediately went off. They did not keep the commandments. They turned away immediately, right? So Adam was supposed to, and he ended up falling as well, right? He made himself a reproach. Then it also says in the next verse, back in Genesis, when we stay in verse 7, it says they tried to cover themselves with fig leaves, right? Again, this is not talking about them trying to make clothes out of leaves. I don't know if any of you have seen a fig tree, but the leaves they're really little,
Tiny.
extremely small. So nobody's gonna sew that many little leaves. If anything, you might want to get you a big banana leaf and try to make you some drawers out of that. But you're not gonna sew fig leaves together and try to cover yourself. It's making a point to something, right? And we're gonna see that. If you could, sir, give me Isaiah 59, and we're gonna start at verse 2. Because this is going to cover not only the sowing of the fig leaves, but it's also going to cover them hiding themselves, right? Them trying to hide, or even the portion where the Most High asks, he says, Adam, where art thou? Right? He knew where he was physically, literally, but he's asking him it's a spiritual question, right? When you get that, go ahead and read. We're going to read from 2 down to verse 6.
Isaiah chapter 59, verse 2.
Uh-huh.
But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid your face from you, that he will not hear.
So you've separated yourself from God. So right there, we see, well, God was like, Adam, where are you? You've made a separation between us. You're not compatible anymore, brother. What happened? I don't see you in the same light. Why? You're shameful because you did something that I told you not to do. We no longer have the same rapport, brother. That's what that's going into. You've separated yourself from him. Come on.
For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies. Your tongue hath muttered perverseness. None calleth for justice, nor any pleadeth for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity.
Hmm.
They hitch cockatrices. Did I say that cockatry?
Cockatrice eggs, yes.
They hatch cockatry eggs and weave the spider's webs. He that eateth the eggs dieth, and that which is crushed beneath
Break it.
out in which is crushed. Let me start that over.
No sweat.
Verse 5. They hatcheth cockatry eggs and weave the spider's webs. He that eateth the eggs dieth, and that which is crushed breaketh out in the viper.
So it's saying that these eggs, right? The fruit of their doings, it's wickedness. It's a serpent, a viper. This is a very volatile snake. Finish up.
Their webs shall not become garments,
Hmm.
neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands.
So there's a lot being said here, right? It's saying that when you have these iniquities, when you break off and you start doing your own thing, sinning, you separate yourself from the Most High. And that's what breeds all of these things. Your hands being defiled with blood, your iniquities, your lips speaking lies, right? Nobody's looking for peace. Everything is perverse, right? Nobody talks about the truth. Everything is vanity. They conceive mischief, they bring forth iniquity. So this is a path to further darkness. Then he says you can't cover yourself with these things, right? Adam and Eve tried to cover themselves with fig leaves. These are your iniquity, these little leaves that are not sufficient to cover you, right? It says you try to cover yourself with works of iniquity. It's not gonna work, right? You can't do that. Parallel, right? This is a precept, brother. If I could jump to Wisdom of Solomon 14, right? Because the Most High, again, he's repetitive. He's gonna say the same thing in many different places in the book, and he's trying to tell you something because again, fornication, like I said at the beginning, is a very prevalent problem that Israel had, right? Very prevalent problem, and we're gonna see why.
You did
Start at verse 8.
14 and what?
Start at verse 8.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 8.
Come on.
But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God.
Mm-hmm.
For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creation, or in the, because in the creator of God, they shall become an abomination and stumbling blocks to have the souls of men, and a snare to have the feet of the unwise.
Finish with 12.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them that corrupt the invention of them the corruption of life.
So this is very telling, right? The beginning of spiritual fornication is the invention of idols. An idol is something that you worship other than the Most High, right? So again, let's go back to that marriage frame. If you operate outside of the command, the wisdom, the reverence and respect of your husband, you're committing spiritual fornication. Idolatry is the beginning of spiritual fornication, right? So now we're getting into something a little more deep, speaking to the idolatry are the things that you praise and worship, the things that you put more effort into than you do the Most High, right? Uh, so we see now, right, that this marriage has a very serious connotation. You can't deviate from what the Most High told you to do without committing spiritual fornication. If you could, brother, because again, we're going to see all those things that were mentioned back in Isaiah. We're going to see those things mentioned here as well. Jump down in stay in Wisdom of Solomon, but jump down to verse 21, and we're going to read down to 27.
Book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 21, you said?
Yes, sir.
Verse 21. And this was, excuse me, and this was an
Occasion.
occasion to deceive the world for men, serving either calamity or tyranny, did ascribe unto stone and stocks the
Incommunicable.
incommunicable name.
Right. So he's starting off by talking about idolatry, right? When he says stones and stocks, he's talking about stones meaning like idols made of stone and stocks, right? This would be wood or something that you shave into an idol. Stones and stocks. Read on.
Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace.
So things that were supposed to be a plague, you're not supposed to be worshiping these things, and they erred in this knowledge, right? They went to idols. This is things that they called peaceful. Oh, brother, I'm not doing nothing wrong. It's just something I got in my house, right? Keep reading.
For while they slew their children in sacrifices, or,
Covered that in offering children to Molech, right? Slaying your children. Read on.
or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled,
Uh-oh.
but either one slew another treacherously or grievously or grieved him by adultery.
So now we see the fruit of this idol, right? When they do these things, it comes with another spirit because anything that is not of the Lord has a different spirit to it. The Lord's spirit is the Holy Spirit. If you don't have that, you have another spirit, which is not what you're supposed to have. And from that other spirit come these things, right? The slaying of children, ceremonies, and all these strange rites. When people start behaving and doing things that are weird like that, it says they kept neither lives nor their marriages any longer undefiled. And what are we talking about here? A marriage between us and the Most High. That becomes defiled. And how do we know the fruit of that is happening? Because now you can't even keep the marriage between you and your woman undefiled, right? Brothers are sleeping with other brothers' wives, killing each other for vain purposes. Keep reading down to 27 from 25, I think it is.
Verse 25. So that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, prejudice, dis
Perjury.
perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good terms, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriage, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. Verse
So
27. Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, no, no, that's cool. That's cool. So these are all things that come from that. And if you notice, it's mentioning marriage and adultery a few times, right? Dissimulation, fake love, corruption, unfaithfulness, right? Tumults, angry gatherings, perjury, lying under oath, disquieting of good men, right? Disrespect toward a brother that's got a good name, trying to, spread rumors, forgetfulness of good turns, right? Forgetting to, if it's my turn, it's my turn. If it's your turn, it's your turn. Forgetting that, right? Being deceitful in those ways. All right. Defiling of souls, changing of kind. That's another one. That's another class. But uh these are all things that come from those spirits. Right. Now finish up with 27, because this is the point.
Verse 27. For the worshiping of idols are not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil.
So worshiping idols, right? Spiritual fornication. It just said that the devising of idols is the beginning of spiritual fornication. So the worshiping of idols, not to be named, is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. So this is how you go off is idolatry, right? Now, let's correlate. We have a marriage with the Most High. He gave his chosen a marriage covenant. He expected them to keep law, statutes, and commandments, because when you're married, there's an expectation as far as the bond goes, right? There's laws and standards that we have to abide by in order for that to be a happy and sustained marriage. So when we don't operate in that way, there's now a reason to separate, right? I can't deal with somebody that's not going to abide by the law and rules and standards that are set for marriage. But before we get there, I'm gonna get one more on nakedness. If I could, brother, can you give me 2 Corinthians 5 and 2?
The book of Second Corinthians, chapter 5 and verse 2.
One.
For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven.
Read
If
down to
so be that being clothed, we should not be found naked. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened,
un yeah,
not,
right.
oh, sorry, I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
go
you
ahead.
got it. You got it. I'm sorry, I jumped in. Go ahead. Go ahead. You got it.
Not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up of life.
So this is a very important thing to understand, right? It's saying that we groan earnestly, right, desiring to be clothed upon, right? This is again metaphoric language. It's not a bunch of people just saying, "Hey, man, I'm butt naked. I really need some clothes." This is talking about spiritually, because Adam and Eve were found naked. The children of Israel, after Moses came down, were found naked, right? When you deviate from the Most High, you are found naked. You don't have a protective covering on to shield your shame, right? To cover your shame and your unrighteousness. You don't have that. You have to put on clothes. We've had some classes about that. You got to be dressed
Strange
in the right
apparel,
apparel.
but
Correct. And strange apparel was cold, right? You have to be dressed the proper way, right? Now, in that, I actually want to bring up a verse, because being clothed properly is very important to this conversation. But I'm gonna get through this first, right? Being clothed, we shall not be found naked in verse 3. That's the point. We don't want to be found naked, because when Christ returns, if you're found naked, it's like Moses coming down and seeing Israel. Look at you, wicked children, running around, defiling yourselves, being foolish, right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to get caught outside of anything other than being righteous. We want him to come back and we're doing the things we're supposed to do, right? For we that are of this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, right? That we're going through some stuff, not for that we would be unclothed. So we're not going through this to be naked. We're going through this so that we can be clothed. Why? So that our mortality, the dead in us, can be destroyed by the life that's in us, right? We want to kill the old man. That's the whole point of that. Don't get caught being naked. Now, I wanted to point out something critical when it comes to that. So if you could, sir, go to Matthew chapter 19, and I want verse 3 down to 9.
The book of Matthew, chapter 19 and verse 3.
Come on.
The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
So the Pharisees decided, I'm gonna try this brother Christ and see what he knows, right? Is it lawful for a man to just put away his wife for whatever cause? Read on.
And he answered and said unto them, have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall twain make one flesh?
You just read that from Genesis, right? We read both of those. Him making
Shall
them
be
male and
one
female.
flesh.
Right.
Where, verse 6. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. Where therefore God had, what therefore God had joined together, let not man put asunder.
Okay. So Christ's answer is, listen, it was written in the beginning that God made them man and woman, and they're supposed to come together and cleave to each other and become one flesh. So, in essence, you're not supposed to just go separating man and woman who have come together to be one flesh. That's not lawful. They're supposed to bind together. They're supposed to figure it out, right? That's the point. They're supposed to cleave to each other and be one flesh, right? Now, this is where they try to get deceptive. Read on.
Verse 7. And they said unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? And he
So,
said to them, go
so
ahead.
yeah, no. So this is critical, right? The question is, if you're not supposed to separate from your woman, why did Moses, right? Why did he decide that, oh, well, a bill of divorcement is cool and you could write that up and put your wife away? Why did he do that? Listen to Christ's answer. Read on.
And he said unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so.
Read on.
And I say unto you, whosoever put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whosoever marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery.
Okay, so right, this is critical to understand. He told them that, listen, Moses, because you guys couldn't understand that and you did wickedly, the hardness of your hearts, because you were sleeping with your brother's wife. You were going against that commandment, right? You were committing adultery and committing all kinds of fornications. Moses had to have something in place. You can put away your woman for what? He said the only cause is for fornication. So he's telling them, because you guys didn't get it and you kept doing those things, that's why Moses gave you divorce. But I'm telling you, if you put your woman away for anything outside of fornication, not only do you cause her to commit adultery, but anybody that marries her also commits adultery. Keep this in mind, okay? Because we're going to come back to that thought. If you could, brother, I'd like you to jump to Deuteronomy 25, and I believe it is verse 1.
You said 25 and 1?
Yes, sir. And do you have access to a Strong's Concord or like a Blue Letter Bible app?
Yeah, I could pull that up. Give me one
Thank you,
second.
sir. Thank you. Because I'm gonna need that verse, a specific part of that verse, right? But yeah, if you could. I'm sorry, it is Deuteronomy 24, not 25.
Book of
Sorry.
Deuteronomy, chapter 24, verse 1.
Yes, sir.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 24, verse 1. When a man had taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he has found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it in her hand and send her out his house.
Perfect. So, right, this is the commandment that Christ was quoting. You can give her a bill of divorce. It says, if she find no favor in his eyes, because he hath found some uncleanness. Now, I actually have a tab in my Bible that says a matter of nakedness. Isn't that a coincidence? So if you could, brother, pull up on the blue letter what word it uses for some nakedness. I want to see what that definition looks like. If you could put that on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Because Christ literally is saying the same thing that Moses is saying. We're just going to prove it. Yes, sir. There it is.
I'm not sure which one, which version
Just,
you
yeah,
want.
just click verse 1,
Okay.
and it should be under the interlinear. Scroll down. Uncleanness. There it is. Click on that word for uncleanness, and let's see what that's talking about. Okay, it says, Irva is the word, or wa is the word there, right? And the definition, outline of biblical usage: nakedness, nudity, shame. Pudenda, right? Pudenda, implying shameful exposure, right? Nakedness of a thing, indecency, improper behavior, exposed, undefended, right? Remember what we talked about what nakedness meant: exposed and undefended, right? You're naked, you're without protection. So all of these things say the same thing that we've been talking about. A man cannot put his wife away except she show her shame openly, right? Improper behavior, something that is indecent, right? If she shows her nakedness to another man, she's committing adultery, right? She's committing a form of fornication. So what that law said that is, if she finds no favor in his eyes, meaning he don't like her no more, because he has found some uncleanness, right? Some matter of nakedness, improper nakedness in her. Now he can put her away, right? That is the only cause for a man to put his wife away.
So
Well,
wait, does that mean that if someone treats their boss better than their husband, that's a form of fornication?
well, that would be a matter of correction, right? That would definitely be a matter of correction. She should not be taking advice more than him. And absolutely, she shouldn't be giving him more effort than she does her husband. That's not quite fornication, but that kind of behavior can certainly lead to it. And we're going to get to that as well, right? That shouldn't be a habit formed in her. If you could, sir, now that we've gone there, let me get Matthew 5, 27 and 28. Right, speaking on the same issue of this adulterous behavior, and
The
actually
book
going directly into what you just said.
the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 27.
Come on.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Uh-huh.
But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
So, like you said, that kind of behavior, if she's already prone to putting more effort into somebody that's not you as her husband, it's going to lead there, right? Her practice is going to lead to her actually doing something because she already clearly is not respecting your title as the husband, right? So that's an excellent point that you just brought out. Give me, on that note, Romans 7 and 7. Because this is why we correlate those laws together. Paul says the same thing. Paul reaffirms what Christ said.
The book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 7.
Or,
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I have not known sin but by the law.
hmm.
For if I have not known lust, or excuse me, for I had not known lust except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
So when you covet, that means you want something that is not yours. So when you look at your neighbor's wife and think to sleep with her, you're committing adultery in your head by coveting. So this is why all these laws are connected, right? And Christ illustrated that. Now Paul's illustrating it. Now again, back to the understanding of marriage. You are not supposed to be looking outside of the instruction of your husband at all. You should not be giving anybody more energy and effort than your husband. That's not okay, right? That's something that if you practice that too much, it's going to become a habit and then you're going to act on it. We don't want that, right? Because we're not that kind of people. We are called to be different, right? Give me First Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 1. Because we are called to be different, right? We're not supposed to abide like everybody else abides. The Most High gave us a specific way to live, and He gave us a marriage format to define the severity of that relationship. This isn't a friendship. This is a marriage, right? Read it when you got it.
The book of First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1. But of excuse me, 5 verse 1. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord is so cometh as a thief in the night.
So remember earlier when we were talking about the Lord coming back and catching you naked, right? We know, right? We see the times as people that are following this walk. We understand that the Lord is coming back, right? We know that. And we're behaving a certain way because we know he's coming back, like a thief in the night, meaning we don't know when, but he's on the way.
For when they shall say, peace and safety, then suddenly destruction cometh upon them, and travail upon the woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief.
So he's laying out this point, right? Other people, they don't know this day. They think it's all good. Peace and love, joy and happiness, right? And suddenly destruction is going to come upon them. Just and it says like a woman in travail. It's talking about a pregnant woman, all of a sudden she's walking around the house and then she up, baby, get the car. It's time to go. The baby's coming. Right? That's how the day is going to come upon these people. They're not going to know it's coming, and then all of a sudden there's going to be pain and turmoil and stress, and they're not going to know how to deal with it, right? But he says, but we're not in the darkness, right? We don't move like that. We have a different mindset. Read on.
Verse 5. Ye are all the children of ye are all the children of light, the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober.
There you go. So we don't operate in the same way that they do, right? They are not paying attention. But we have to be awake, right? We have to be sober. We have to keep watch. Read on.
For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night.
They do these vile things in darkness, right? That's what keeps them hidden and shielded. They don't think anything's wrong. Nobody will see us. We're in the darkness doing our thing. Nobody's going to know. It's just a regular night for me, right? Read on.
But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation.
So let us of the day not only be sober, but let us get dressed, right? You got to put on a breastplate of faith and a helmet of salvation. Get dressed. Get ready. Put your protection on. Put your shields up so that you won't be, like definition 3 says, exposed and undefended. Put your armor on. We've covered that in another class as well, that armor of God. Put your clothes on so that you're not naked when the Most High comes back, right? When Christ returns, the last thing you want to be is asked out. You want to make sure that you have your clothes on, that you're properly dressed, right? Give me John 1, the St. John, not First John, St. John 1, and we'll start at verse 4 because we're still talking about these children of light, right? It's important to understand that we are the children of light because, again, being the children of light means you're married to the source of the light. And if you're married to the source of the light, there's a way that you have to go about living. Start at verse 4.
The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 4. In him was life, and the life was the light of men.
This is talking about Christ at the beginning. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Read on.
And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not.
So he shined the light in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Saying the same thing as Thessalonians. The light and the darkness don't mix. We're of the light, so we move this way. The darkness moves another way. They don't understand the matters of the light. They have a different calling. They move in a different way, right? Jump down to verse 10. It says the same thing.
Verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not.
He shined his light, but the darkness, right? The world, those that are in the world, they didn't understand. They didn't know him. Read on.
He came unto his own, and his own received him not.
Came to the Jews, and the Jews didn't receive him. They didn't recognize him either. Why? Because they were living according to their own traditions and in certain ways, the ways of the world, right? Read on.
But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name.
So Christ, those that heard him and understood, that woke up, became sober, and put their clothes on, guess what? He gave them power to be the sons of God, which in Thessalonians, the children of the light. Read on.
Which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God.
So these children of the light, the sons of God, they were born not because they just came out of a woman, right? Not by the will of man, like it said, not because of the flesh, but by the will of God. What does that mean? Jump to 1 John 3 and 9.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3. You said 3 and 9?
3 and 9. Yes, sir.
The book of 1 John, chapter 3 and verse 9.
One.
Soever is born of God doth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born of God.
So if sin is transgressing or breaking of the law, and being born of God means that you're not sinning, it says he doesn't sin, neither can he sin because he's born of God. So when you're truly a child of God, a child of the light, you're no longer sinning. And in order to be a child of the light, that means that you are now coming into this marriage, right? You're being married to the Most High, right? That's the point. You're coming back to that marriage, that understanding that, hey, I got to be reconciled to my husband. I got to come back and do the things he asked me to do, right? Instead of deviating and going off on my own and doing my own thing. And Paul was pivotal in that effort. Give me Second Corinthians 11, uh chapter 11 verse 2.
The book of Second Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 2.
Hmm?
For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ.
So Paul is preparing you as a bride, right? Because we were married to the Most High God, but God divorced us. I mean, he divorced the Northern Kingdom. He gave them a bill of divorcement and put them away, right? And a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get that. If you could, brother, give me let's start in Hosea 4 and verse 15, please. Because this is the history behind Israel. This is why we are in this process right now of coming back, right, to be with the Most High through Christ, right? Paul just said we have to be married to Christ, and Christ is going to be what leads us back to the Most High. So go ahead, sir, if you could, Hosea 4, start at verse 15 and read down to 17.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 15.
Uh-huh.
Though thou, Israel, play the harlot, yet let not Judah offend, and come not ye unto Gilgal, neither go ye up to Bethavan, nor swear. The Lord liveth.
All right.
For Israel slideth back as a backsliding heifer. Now the Lord will feed them as a lamb in a large place.
Finish up.
Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone.
So this is Ephraim. This is the northern kingdom being divorced, right? It says that they've played the harlot. A harlot is somebody who exposes their nakedness to other men freely, right? This is a for lack of a better term, a nasty one, right? Israel played the harlot. And he says, let not Judah offend, right? You can't even come to Gilgal, nor can you go to Beth Haven, nor can you even swear that the Lord lives. So you don't even get to claim the Lord. He's not yours anymore. You're being divorced, right? A backsliding heifer is plowing up the hill, and then they go back to where they started, right? You're not getting the job done. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Backsliding heifer, right? And he says that he's going to cause them to be cast out into the wilderness. Let Ephraim alone. Ephraim is the northern kingdom head, so it's talking about them as a whole. The northern kingdom is joined to idols. Leave them alone, right? Jump to Jeremiah 3 and verse 6. We're going to start at verse 6 because there's history behind all of this, right? It wasn't just Israel. Although they were the ones that started the party, Israel decided to mess it up, right? And we're going to see here how the Lord feels about that.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verse 6. The
Yes.
Lord's, what's that?
No, no, go ahead. You got it.
The Lord said also unto me in the day of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that which backsliding Israel hath done? She is gone up unto another, or to every high mountain, and under every green tree, and there hath played the harlot.
So he's telling him, hey, have you seen what he just called him again? Backsliding Israel. Did you see what they've been doing? They've gone all over the place and played the harlot. They're committing fornication everywhere they go. Read on.
And I say, excuse me, and I said, after she had done all these things, turn thou unto me. But she returned not. And after treacherous, excuse me, and her treacherous sister Judah saw it.
So I told her to come back. Hey, listen, don't do that. Come back to me. But she didn't. She refused, and her sister saw that. What did her sister do? Read on.
And I saw when, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I put her away and give her a bill of divorce.
Uh-huh.
Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also.
So I already gave Israel, the northern kingdom, I gave them a bill of divorce. But now here comes her treacherous sister. She saw what her sister did, and she's not afraid anymore. She's doing the same thing. She's going now and she's playing the harlot, right? Jump down to 14.
Verse 14.
Mhm.
Turn, O backsliding children, said the Lord, for I am married unto you,
Mm,
and will take you one of every city, and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
mm. So this is him pleading, listen, just turn back. I'm your husband. Don't do your husband wrong. Turn back. Come back to your husband, right? I'm pleading with you. Stop doing all that funny stuff. Come on. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Come back. And I will bring you, right? What do you say? One of a city and two of every family. Finish up with 15.
Verse 15. And I will give you pastures according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Listen, come back and I'll give you the wisdom. I'll teach you. I'll wash you in this word, just like a husband is supposed to wash his wife. Just come back, right? All I need you to do is return to me, and I'll give you wisdom and knowledge and understanding, right? So what we see is that the Most High had to plead with his children, the children of Israel, because for this long time, since he's divorced Israel, and since Judah has played the harlot, we've been a stiff-necked people. So now Paul is trying to present Israel, right? So this is after Christ has shown up and declared that we need to come back and has made those that hear the sons of God, right? He's waking us up to understanding. Stop being a harlot. Being a harlot is not okay, right? It's against the laws of God. It's not something that we were supposed to be do from the beginning. He gave us marriage as a standard to understand between us, because when fornication happens in a marriage, it can get ugly. Emotions are involved. It gets volatile, right? So the same way, this is how we understand when you misbehave like that according to the Most High, well, it gets volatile. And in his anger, he has cast us out and punished us, right? Just like a lawful man would do. He would send his wife out. You're not worthy to be here right now. Your mind isn't right. Okay. And this is the thing. Give me Hebrews 13 and 4. We're going to read down to 6.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 4.
Mhm.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers God will judge.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is Hebrews, right? The book of Hebrews in the New Testament saying marriage is honorable. Your marriage to the Most High, it's honorable in all things. The marriage with the woman or the marriage with the man that you are with, it's honorable in all things. And the bed undefiled, right? Now, whoremongers, right? Those that go and make whores out of the daughters of Zion, and adulterers, those that sleep with women that are married, those that fornicate and do things that are unlawful according to the laws of God as far as marriage goes. This is talking both physical and spiritual. God will judge. There's judgment coming for that, right? If he comes and sees you, he comes home and you naked, committing adultery, it's curtains, right? It's all bad for you. Read verse 5.
Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things ye have. For he had said, I forsake thee.
Okay, so the Most High, right? Let your conversation be without covetousness, right? Because we saw that lust is a form of covetousness, right? You don't want to be covetous. You don't want to look on what other people have and want that. So let your conversation be without that. Don't even bring those things up because it's going to lead you down a wrong path. Be content with what you have. So now, not only just not do that, you should be happy with what you have. You should be working on what you have, right? Investing in it, growing it. That's what you're supposed to be doing with what you have. That way you're happy with it. You get to see the fruit of your labor with what you've been given because the Lord said he's not going to leave or forsake you, right? He's with you. So do with what you have where you're at. You're not supposed to be seeking for what other brothers have and looking at, oh, well, that brother got that. I kind of want to be like that. No, no, no. The Most High has you exactly where you're supposed to be at. Work with what you have. Finish up.
Sorry about that.
No, you got it. No
Verse
sweat.
6.
Uh-huh.
So that we may be bold, or excuse me, so that we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper, and I will not fear what man shall do unto me.
Right. So the reason why that is because if you do something on your own accord, right, you're not relying on the Most High. But this is when you're content with what you have, now you can say the Lord guided me through that. He gave me this situation, and this is what I worked with. This is what I endured. This is what I came out of. All those things are affirmations of the Most High leading you, and you're not relying on your strength or someone else's strength, right? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure we stay away from those things. So to tie it all together, we're married to the Most High. He has laws, statutes, and commandments that he gave us to live by. When we don't do that, we are committing spiritual fornication. We are making idols out of the things that we choose to do rather than what he told us to do, right? And the same way goes for marriages on a physical sense. When you make a commitment to somebody, you be committed to them. You don't deviate from that. If you have problems, you work through it. Obstacles are going to come. Don't commit fornication or adultery because that will lead to him being able to put you away. That's the only reason to put a woman away is for fornication, right? Of the naked sense, right? Don't make yourselves naked. Put your clothes on and make sure that you are presentable when the Most High comes back because he will judge you. With that being
Not
said,
will, he's going to judge you.
yeah,
He's going to judge
he's
you.
going to judge. Yeah, there's no you can't dance out of that. He's going to judge you. Like it's cliche, right? The parents leave for a weekend and they come home and their kids are throwing a party, right? It's basically you came home, your kids are naked.
In the bed with someone else.
Damn,
In your bed
damn.
that you bought him.
Not the master bedroom.
Man.
Oh, you talking about the yeah, it's my bed. Yeah, it's in my house. I bought it. Absolutely. But
Right.
either way, I come home and you're not doing what I told you to do. Christ had a parable about that.
Well, I say that only to say this is not we are the temple of God. So essentially this is his body. This is his being. We're renting this
He
body.
bought it. He bought it. You don't own it. He bought it with a
Right.
price.
We're just leasing this. He put our spirit in here temporarily.
You're renting the
But
space.
then we're gonna treat it however we want it. This isn't a rental car. We don't give it back and keyed up. Who cares?
Well,
No.
that's Ahaj, honestly. When you rent a space out, right, which is in essence what you're doing, you're renting a body. And when you rent the space out and the lease comes up and now you got to move out, well, if the house is custom painted and has all kinds of things done to it that was not authorized by the owner of the home, not only are you not going to get your deposit back, you have to now pay the cost to put it exactly how he had it.
Yep.
Hmm.
Even if yours looks better.
It's that's a matter of opinion. That's subjective. You might think that it looks great, and you might and listen. You might have actually added to the house's value by doing some things.
No, I
However,
say that because we always think that our ways are best. We know best, even if your ways are better, because you could tell someone, you know, your ways are wrong, but you can't convince them otherwise. So, okay, your ways are better. It doesn't mean that you're right. Because
that's
some people,
absolutely true.
you have to let them just be, oh, you're right. Okay, your ways are better. But
Correct. No,
even
that's why I
if they
said
are
it's subjective. That's how
right.
you feel about it. And again, it might be better for you. However, you don't get to just do what you want, right? And then whoever's the owner or the person who you're leasing these things from or who has authority over you comes back and finds you with your ass out.
So you're saying I can't go rent a car, put some 22s on there, and charge the dealership for the price of the 22s?
No, sir. No, sir. Right? You're doing too much. You gotta abide within the contract that was
Right.
given for that rental car. All right. That's how it works. That's exactly how it works. So in short, just make sure you're covered, man. Make sure that you're not naked when the Most High comes back. Make sure that you present yourself a chaste virgin, like Paul said, right? A chaste virgin is one that has kept herself diligently and has not committed whoredom or fornicated or done anything outside of what has been asked of her by her father. And with that, I will say, we are a chosen generation. We are a royal priesthood and a holy nation, and a peculiar people who have been called to show forth the glory of him that has called us out of darkness and into his marvelous light. Shalom.